Welcome to this week's edition of The Blitz. On today's show, running back Max DeLorenzo will be joining us to talk about our game against Temple. And linebacker Yawin Smallwood will be here to break down our next opponent, the Syracuse Orange. Coach P will be on Coach's Corner to answer even more questions from the fans. And offensive coordinator George DeLeone will be on as well. So thanks for tuning in. And now, The Blitz. It's time now for Coach's Corner here with Coach P. Now, Coach, after the tough overtime loss to Temple, you talked about the fact that football, like life, is all about adversity. How do you make sure that these guys take the adversity from that tough loss at home and put it towards preparations for the next game?
Well, I think you have to rely on the character, of the team and the character of each individual. I think we've got guys who have perseverance. They've persevered. We've had some tough games. We've been in a lot of difficult games. So life is about hanging in there, and football is all about, hanging in there and persevering, which means continuing to give great effort over and over again, and understanding that success might be just around the corner. So let's just keep battling and good things will happen.
Wonderful. Well, in honor of homecoming week, we had all of our questions from fans at the Rent. So we have some interesting ones for you this week. If you're ready to go, let's take a look.
Yep, they're always interesting.
All right, let's see what we got.
Hey, my name is Josh Thomas, and I'm a junior from West Haven, Connecticut, and I'm this year's homecoming king. And I just wanted to know, when you're in the mood for something sweet, what's your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert is ice cream. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. And love it at the UConn Dairy.
Nothing better.
Nothing better.
All right, let's take a look at the next question.
I'm John Livingston from Norwalk, Connecticut. And, Coach, I'd like to know if you have a coach that you admire and look up to as a mentor and a role model.
Well, I've been very fortunate, to be around many good coaches, starting in college as an undergraduate. Coach Paterno was an excellent mentor. Dick McPherson, who hired me at Syracuse, is a Hall of Fame coach. Very, very happy to have worked there. Had the opportunity to be around a high-energy guy like Sean Payton. We worked together, at the Cowboys. Hard-working, high-energy people. I think Andy Reid with the Philadelphia Eagles. I've talked to Andy quite a bit. I think he does a great job, just a fantastic job. So I've been very, very lucky to be around a lot of good people.
A lot of great coaches to mold your career around.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a look at the last question.
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm from Durham, Connecticut. I'm a sophomore, and I was just wondering, what is your favorite football movie?
Friday Night Lights, I guess, is a pretty good movie. It was filmed in Houston, Texas. They used the coaches from the Houston Texans at the time to be part. Chris Palmer, who's now the offensive coordinator with the Titans, is in that movie, because they needed a few coaches. So, and I enjoyed watching that. It's a good family movie. I can watch it with my kids, and we can have some fun.
Definitely a great football movie.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot for joining us this week. I know our fans are loving getting the inside look, so thanks a lot. We're looking forward to traveling to Syracuse with you.
Great, thanks.
All right, fans, we've gotten some great questions. If you have any more that you want answered, make sure they're submitted and answered here on Coach's Corner. Joining us now on Coach's Corner is offensive line coach and offensive coordinator George DeLeone. Thanks for being here today, Coach.
Real pleasure, Emily.
Now, after our loss to Temple, we really came out of the gate running 192 yards of offense and 2 touchdowns just in that very first quarter. Can you talk about the strategy of attacking Temple vertically?
Temple is very, very strong at defending the run, and we knew that the best chance for us to move the ball was going to be to have play-action passes, drop-back passes, to counter their run defense. It worked very well early in the game. They made some adjustments. We had some breakdowns in the second half that did not allow us to continue that excellent execution. But the first quarter was probably the best quarter of football we've played this year and maybe in 2 years.
So in this week in preparing for Syracuse, how do you take those bright spots of the offense and make sure that they're implemented so that we can finish the game just as strong as we had started that game?
Well, we've done some really good things this year. Unfortunately, we've also done some things that have been disastrous. Our job this week is to say that we can do some really good things. We just have to eliminate the negatives. And that's our job as coaches, and our jobs as players also. They've got to do a good job of staying focused in practice, because ultimately what you do in practice is what you're going to do in the game. So that's been our motto this year, and we just haven't been able to put the whole game together. Hopefully we will this week. We're going to need to.
And this week we do travel up to Syracuse, your old stomping grounds, after 19 years there. Now, with Syracuse being 2-4 this season, knowing what you know about them, how do you see the Huskies matching up against the Orange this week?
They look a lot better than they did last year, I'll say that. You know, we competed against them last year, had a really good game with them at the Rent. I see a much faster defense. I see a much more experienced defense. They're now year 3 into this system. Doug Marrone is the head coach and Steve Schaefer is the defensive coordinator. They're right now 3 years into this. So they are, to me, playing very, very well. They did a tremendous job on defense beating Pitt. They gave Rutgers, who I think is a really good offensive team, all they could handle last week. So we're going to have our hands full. We're going to have to play as well as we can play. And we have to do the same thing we did last week. We have to take advantage of what they give us. If they're going to defend the run, we have to be able to throw the ball. If they're going to overcommit to the pass, then we got to be able to run the ball better than we have.
And with all the time that you spent up at Syracuse, can you talk about the sentiment returning there for the first time as a Husky?
You know, really, it's another game. I'm more interested in our football team. I had a very good experience there with the players that I coached and the coaches that I coached with. There will be no sentiment there. It's going to be all about doing everything we can to help the Huskies win on Saturday. So it won't be a sentimental journey for me, I promise you that.
Wonderful. Well, we're all looking forward to seeing the Huskies travel up and go for win number 4. Thanks so much for being here today, Coach.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, fans, now let's take a look back at highlights from UConn versus Temple. Now we have redshirt freshman tailback Max DeLorenzo, who had 105 all-purpose yards against Temple. Thanks so much for being here today.
Yes, thanks, Emily. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, now last week, I know it was a terribly tough loss for UConn, losing an OT like that. Can you give us your overall impressions on the game?
You know, I thought we started off well as an offense. We had the 2 quick scores. Defense played great, as they do every game. And just we weren't able to get the plays we needed to, get the first downs, and to keep the time running, and we had a tough loss.
And you talked about getting off the board quickly. In that second possession of the game, we drove 66 yards to that Michael Smith 15-yard touchdown, and then in the very next drive, 63 yards leading up to that perfect spiral 42-yard touchdown to Griff. Can you talk about the excitement of those 2 drives leading up to that touchdown and what the mentality was like at that point?
Yeah, we knew we were going to start off throwing deep routes on their secondary, and those first 2 possessions, or second and third, I think it was, we were scored, we were very excited, and we thought, the offense, we were going to, kind of put a lot of points on the board, get a big lead for our defense, but we just, credit Temple, they made adjustments.
And looking at the other side of the ball, we have to talk about our defense. Very impressive yet again, save for a couple of big plays that led to the touchdowns in the second and fourth quarter. They stayed so strong, tallying 4 sacks, 3 huge stops on 3rd and 4th down in that last quarter. Can you talk about how much you guys as an offense rely on that defense?
We try not to rely on them. We try to, win it for us, put points on the board, but Coach Brown and that defense, they do a great job game in and game out, and it's unfortunate because, they get tired. Maybe that's why they give up big plays at the end, because they're on the field, most of the game. We just got to do a better job offensively, keeping us on the field and them off the field. Those 2 4th and 1s that they, in the fourth quarter that they stopped them on, we were all just like, offense, get off the bench. We're going to be out there the next play. So we have a lot of confidence in them. And
the 2 biggest individual plays on defense, the last play of the first half, Yawin's strip, and then Byron's interception in the 3rd quarter. Can you talk about watching those 2 plays unfold and how that affects the offense sitting on the bench?
It was great. Obviously, they're both 2 playmakers. Yawin has had an excellent year on the defensive side, and that was a big play. It gave us the ball back. Byron's interception, that was big. It gave us the ball back right around the 50, and if we can keep getting more big plays like that, it's just going to help our offense and give us confidence. But unfortunately, we didn't, get anything off those turnovers last game.
And looking at your play specifically, being a Connecticut kid, getting your first start at tailback for your flagship university, can you talk about what it meant to you to be able to have the kind of game that you did?
It was, very exciting. But I thought I was a lot more confident than I was, last week getting a few carries at Rutgers. It was great. I had a lot of family, friends there to watch, so it was good to see them after the game, and, they're all very supportive.
Well, I know we are all really excited to see even more production out of you as the season continues. Thanks so much for joining us today, Max.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, now let's take a look at our next opponent, the Syracuse Orange. Now on the Blitz, we are joined by redshirt sophomore linebacker Yawin Smallwood, who had 13 tackles and a huge strip in our game against Temple. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here.
Now, you're going to be on the show to talk about Syracuse, but before we do that, we have to touch on that incredible play, that strip that you had on Montel Harris. Can you talk about what you saw on that play and the kind of determination that you needed to get the possession back?
I saw Montel. He's a tough back, so I felt like he was trying to get extra yards. So as a defensive player, our coaches always preach to us, try and get in there, get a hand on the football, and just rip it out. And that's what I did, and I did a good job at pulling the ball out and made a big play.
Well, no better way to end the first half. Now, looking ahead to our next opponent, Syracuse, they've had an up-and-down year. They're 2-4, 1-1 in the Big East. They beat Pitt, but they're coming off a 23-15 loss to Rutgers. Looking at their offense, they only had 62 yards rushing, but 361 passing yards with 4 turnovers. With this turnover-prone offense, how do you feel our tough defense is going to be able to match up against them?
I feel like our defense is going to do a very good job against them. I feel like if they're going to throw the ball, we're going to try our best to make plays and get after the quarterback. If they're going to run the ball, I think our linebackers and our D-line is going to be up there supporting the run and going to make plays in the running backs. I know they have a great quarterback. He's a veteran guy, so he's going to make plays, and we just have to limit those big plays.
All right, and looking at the other side of the ball, they've been fairly consistent of late, allowing only 242 yards of total offense, giving up just 2 touchdowns against Rutgers. What do we need to see out of our offense this week in order to make sure that they're effective against that defense?
I feel like our offense should do a good job at just spreading the field. getting the ball to our playmakers quick and letting them do what they do in open space. And I feel like if we do that, we have a great chance of scoring a lot of points.
And I know you guys have been really frustrated with some of the losses that we have had so far this season. What kind of faith do you have in this team to be able to rebound and make the most of the rest of this season?
I feel like as a unit, we just need to all stick together. You know, people are going to lose games. We're going to lose games. We just have to keep fighting and keep coming in with a good work ethic and trying to get better day in and day out. And I feel like if we do that, we can turn the season around.
Well, there still is plenty of time to do that. Thanks so much for being here today, Yawin.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, next up, the Huskies will travel to Syracuse to take on the Orange Friday, October 19th at 8 o'clock. It's the ESPN Friday night game of the week. And, of course, you can listen to it on WTIC News Talk 1080. That's all for the Blitz. For Huskies All Access, I'm Emily Noonan. We'll see you out there.